everybody. My name is Steve, the Affordable Life Coach. This is a unique, unscripted channel. I hope you enjoy it. I bring unique and different perspectives on psychology, self development, and spirituality. I've been coaching for over 13, life coaching people for over 13 years. And today we're going to talk about lessons that I have learned in my life and in coaching clients that you'll find very valuable and simple, but has a high return on energy invested. And this topic is going to focus on anticipation anxiety, that we get ourselves tied up like in a knot, in a ball of yarn, or if you ever see string that's just been knotted together and you can't undo it. That's what we do to ourselves with the way we manage our life. Procrastination has such a deleterious effect on our psyche, on our mental health, on our stress levels, and our anxiety levels. And it's a short-term gain for long-term pain. And that's one of the things that I really work on in coaching sessions is helping clients not completely overcome procrastination, because that's practically impossible, but to make improvements on how they structure, plan, organize their life, and get things done. Something that burdens most people is a never-ending to-do list. As one of my clients says, he feels like I don't have any fun and my life is just doing one darn thing after another. And even Winston Churchill said life is just one damn thing after another, and it just piles up. A couple things create this backlog of the to-do list. And sometimes I don't even want to look at my habit list or my to-do list because it's just never ending and it's mentally draining. It creates anticipation anxiety. It creates overwhelm. And when we feel overwhelmed, we go to fight, flight, freeze response. And we just avoid. We turn on the screens. We go online shopping, we watch Netflix, we eat food, anything to numb the anguish of thinking about all the things that you really don't want to do but are on that list. And the categories that I want to focus on the most are what Brian Tracy in his book Eat That Frog, it's called frog tasks. Frog tasks are the tasks that we absolutely don't want to do. And I'll even use the emoji of a frog when I'm putting it on my to-do list. Hey, this is a frog task. And in his book, he talks about if you had to eat a live frog, it's disgusting to even think about it. When's the best time to do it? First thing in the morning, get it out of the way so you're not having the anticipation anxiety. Oh, this evening, tomorrow, next week, I have to eat this live frog, because you're going to put yourself in a constant state of tension, stress, and anxiety. And that's what happens to us when we have these frog tasks, like doing our taxes or going to the dentist or dealing with other things that are long-term future off, like planning for our retirement. We just don't want to think about it. And we use the excuse, I'll do it in the future. I'll lose the weight in the future. I'll take care of my health in the future. I will get my finances in order in the future. By the way, all things that a life coach is tremendously helpful for. If you're interested, please, the email is in the description. The consultation's free, and the sessions afterwards are ridiculously affordable. Even students, I coach many university students, and they find it affordable. So feel free to send me an email if you're interested. So when you have a frog task, we'll do what was called creative avoidance. We'll find creative ways to avoid that which we don't want to do. And we'll have a frog task and we'll go, oh, you know what? I need to clean my house. or I need to call my mom or call my dad, or I need to wash the trash cans. We'll find ways that look like they're being productive, but truly are not making inroads or progress on the frog tasks. And it's just another form of creative avoidance. It's creative procrastination. And we do that a lot. And that's why it's so important. I made another video about just a simple procrastination, anti-procrastination to-do list. If you just use a Post-it note, put your top 3 tasks you're going to get completed that day, one of them being a frog task, and then just make progress. And it doesn't have to be done all in one day. Your frog task can be done 15 minutes at a time. When I'm doing my taxes, that's one of the favorite things that's my favorite strategies to get it done, is just to chip away at it. Start early and just do 15 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. And I have everything written down and broken out in a step-by-step list. Okay, so here's the action item. The action item is going to be 10, 15 minutes. Because when you think about a frog task and you think about, I have to eat that whole frog in one go, it's probably not going to happen. Or maybe with the frog it will, but there's a saying like what's the best way to eat a whole elephant? One bite at a time. When something's overwhelming, you're just going to be resistant, and you're going to find ways and excuses and rationalizations not to do it. But the point of this video is that price we pay when we do that. The anticipation anxiety of putting things off is immense, and it takes a toll on us. I have a frog task, for example, making videos. There's many times when I'm like, oh, I'm just not in the mood for making a video. I don't have the exact topic in my head, or I don't have the inspiration hasn't come to me. And I'm like, no, if we wait for inspiration, we will be waiting for a very long time and very unsuccessful. And it's the quote of artists. Great artists roll up their sleeves and get to work, despite how they feel. Mediocre or average artists wait for inspiration, and they're forever waiting for inspiration. And just the more you do something and you don't depend on how you feel, the more it becomes habitual. The more the avoidant or procrastinating part of our personalities realizes it can't manipulate us into avoiding what it doesn't want to do, the easier it becomes. It's like a child. If a parent tells a child, no, you're staying home, you're sitting on the table, you're doing your homework, then you're going out to play, or whatever the fun thing that they want to do. And that's the way we need to be with ourselves. And if we do it in small bite-sized chunks, it is much more manageable. And on top of it, if you have like a life coach, you have an accountability coach, that makes it even more successful that you're going to complete it, because you have gentle accountability towards the things that you want, or some tough accountability, depending on what motivates you or what keeps you consistent. And when we put things off, we're paying interest on that frog task. It now becomes something that is let's just say takes this much effort and energy and mental anxiety or tension, now becomes this and this and this. And it just becomes huge, because when we procrastinate and avoid things, we are signaling to ourselves to be anxious. And the anxious state is trying to motivate us to tackle a very unpleasant or uncomfortable task. And we don't want to do that. And I think I've shared this example in other videos. There was a while back, where I was at the dentist. This is just a great example to illustrate the point. I was at the dentist, and the dentist says, oh, it was just to get a cleaning. And she's like, oh, your tooth is not looking good, and you're going to need a root canal. And I had never had a root canal, but I've heard, some bad things about it. It's not a pleasant procedure to have done. And I was like, I could feel the tension and the stress, the anxiety, the anticipation of anxiety of like, oh my gosh, now I'm gonna have a root canal. I need to schedule another appointment. And I asked her when's the next appointment that she could see me, and she's like, "Oh, I could do it in 2 weeks." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't do it in 2 weeks because the amount of anxiety and anticipation anxiety I'm going to have is going to take its toll on me for the next 2 weeks. I don't want to pay all that interest or all that tax. I want to get it done and completed and over with as soon as possible." So I begged her. I said, "Is there any way you could do it today? Please, please." And I explained why, and she's like, "Okay, I can squeeze you in at this time and move some things around or whatever." And she was able to do it that day. And so I only paid, I forgot how long I waited, maybe 2 or 3 hours of anticipation anxiety. And we do this to ourselves without even realizing how costly it is putting off our frog tasks. Or even not planning for a frog task, not even recognizing a frog task is something that we need to address. Great example is just like saving for retirement. A lot of us, especially my younger clients, like, I have plenty of time. I don't need to worry about that. I don't even know where the first place to start. It's too complicated, or, whatever the excuse is. But deep down, we want to, the survival instinct is very strong. The security instinct is very strong. And you're going to pay a price in some way, shape, or form when you put off important but not urgent tasks. Saving for retirement, eating healthy is not urgent, but it's so darn important. Or one of the number one things I work with my clients that are willing. Some clients say, "No, I'm not going to do that, Steve." And it amazes me because the benefits are huge, but just sleep. Getting a good night's sleep. And I think the reason there's so much resistance is because of addiction, screen addictions. Well, not I think, that is the reason. And, there's other reasons that go behind it as well. That could be a whole separate topic. But those types of things will have a huge impact in your future life. It's like you're paying by putting it off. One, it's still in the background. It's like that hum of low-level anxiety. Hey, you have to eat healthier. Hey, you have to lose some weight. Hey, you have to exercise more. Hey, you have to get better sleep. Hey, you have to, get your financial life in order and be disciplined with your finances and plan for the future. Or even, hey, warning. And when I say hey, it's like a little warning, a little alarm sound that goes off. Or it's like one of those alarms that is, you can hear it off in the distance. Like, when someone forgets to turn off their alarm in the morning, or they just sleep through it, you can hear it off in the distance. It's not pressing, it's not right next to you, but that alarm, it creates this low level tension because that alarm is a reminder it's a call to action. Hey, you need to do something. You're avoiding it, and it's threatening your survival, or it's jeopardizing your health or your relationships. Like if you don't keep in contact with your parents or something like that, and that alarm is going, or even at work, if you're like shortcutting some things in your job, or you're like hiding things because you don't want your boss to find out, or in relationships when you're not communicating openly and honestly because you don't want to have uncomfortable conversations with people. Or this comes up, some of my clients who are in relationships that are not there's not a long-term viability of the relationship. They don't see themselves spending the rest of their lives or marrying the person or just being committed, long-term, but they are so afraid of being alone, or they're so afraid of hurting the other person and breaking up with them that they stay in the relationship even though there's a strong signal that kind of like inner compass or their intuition's telling them, no, this is a frog task. you gotta get out of this relationship. And so we just carry around so many areas of our life that we're just avoiding, procrastinating, not dealing with, and we pay a price. And what I'm here to tell you is the price is not worth it, because the price of that long term, like I'd rather have that 2 hours of anxiety in anticipation of getting a root canal than have 2 weeks of it or 2 months of it. But yet we do years sometimes. One of the things I work on with clients is just organizing their home, organizing their physical space, and just the clarity and the peacefulness when you have a really nice organized home without a lot of clutter, without a lot of stuff that you're not using. It brings a deep sense of inner calm. And some people have years of just closets that are untouched, or refrigerators that are constantly, untidy, or some foods that's spoiling, or they just never take the stuff out and clean the refrigerator. Like, having a clean, simplified, tidy space is a reflection of what's within you and how you work, and what your spirit's like, what your emotional state's like, what your psychology's like. It's very, very revealing. And that can be a big frog task with a lot of people. Paying off debt can be another frog task. So with some other clients, the frog task is estranged relationships, where they had a falling out with a friend or a family member, and they just they put it off, they avoid it. And it's when there's a falling out, it's always best to just address it as soon as possible, because the more time that passes, the harder it is to repair the damage of that relationship. Still doable, but it makes it more challenging. But you feel that intuitive guidance that this is something that you need to take care of, and is going to be extremely beneficial for your future self, for the relationships, for your health, for your finances, whatever area of your life. And it feels so good to chip away at your frog tasks, and actually to write them down. And some of my clients, they don't even realize what their frog tasks are, and that's something we work on, helping them discover what their frog tasks are. And then they feel like, oh my God, I don't feel as stressed anymore because I'm taking care of it. Even if you're just making progress, you don't even have to complete your frog task. Your brain will just kind of relax knowing that you're making progress. Look at Noah. It took him 120 years to build the ark. Talk about a frog task. Talk about commitment, and talk about consistency. That's incredible. And our frog tasks are much, much smaller than that. So when we do them and chip away at them, we feel good about ourselves. Our anxiety, our stress is lower, and we're planting seeds, a much better life for our future self. We're able to reap fruit for our future self by tackling our frog tasks. Now, you could use this frog task for other areas of your life that would be beneficial. There are some things that this frog task, the natural human tendency to procrastinate, you can use that to your benefit. So, for example, some of my clients will make big purchases, and they didn't procrastinate it. They didn't research it enough. They didn't take time. And when we have something like a big purchase, or when you have something like, getting involved in a relationship with someone, taking it slow, pacing yourself, and not being impulsive and just procrastinating is such an advantage. There are things that I wanted to buy, and I'm a meticulous, avid researcher. And before I buy something, I do a lot of deep research to make sure that it's quality, to make sure that it's something that I will use, and to make sure that it's a good fit for me, and that it'll last for a long time. I'd rather spend more money up front and have something that lasts than need to buy something that needs to be replaced within a couple years. And so just taking certain things slow that could indebt us, whether it's our finances, or whether it's a relationship, or whether it's saying yes to people, to something that we don't want to do. One of the favorite things I tell my clients is when someone asks you to do something, your initial response is to procrastinate. Hey, just by saying, let me get back to you. Let me think about it. Because our first instinct is to say yes to things. So you could kind of use the flip side of frog task and apply it to things that actually should be put off or avoided, or at least taken really slow. And when you have all these tasks and habits and things stored in your brain, we get overwhelmed. And that's why having, whether it's a paper, whether it's a digital to-do list, it's so important to get it out of your mind, get it into some type of calendar or to-do list or habit tracker. Sometimes on like my big projects, I'll just make it a habit. Hey, I'm going to tackle whatever it is, the big habit, 3 days a week, 15 minutes, each time. And I'll just tick it off and just, again, making progress. But we don't want to keep things in our head. And so for your tasks and habits things that you have in your life, again, this is something that is most people don't do it the correct way. And that's where a life coach can really help plan it out and break it down, give you accountability so you avoid feeling overwhelmed, and you also are able to see small victories and progress towards your frog task. But get these things out of your head, get them into somewhere. And the biggest thing I see with clients is just human nature. Is we have a to-do list and we just push it off to the next day, to the next day, to the next day. I tell clients, like, if you push off a task or a habit 3 times in a row, get rid of it. You're not committed to it. And then, like, just put a little star by it. Okay, I put this off 1 day, put it off 2 days. By the 3rd day, get rid of it. You don't want to have things on your to-do list that you're not going to complete and finish. And when you make your mornings about frog time, hey, the morning, even if it's only 15 minutes, that's when I'm working my frog task. It starts your day on the right foot. You feel like a sense of discipline, accomplishment. You get good feelings because you did something that you were resistant towards. Like this video, I'm making this video in the morning, and once I start making the video, I'm fine. The hardest thing about frog task is the anticipation anxiety, anticipation resistance. And most of the things are not as bad as we think. Perfectionism is a big cause for procrastination. So just, keep in mind, done is better than perfect, or just doing things above average is a good metric in which to set it. And then you're like that sense of accomplishment. You're a person who ticks things off, crosses things off, feels good about the accomplishment in doing that. And you can look back at your day and go, that was a productive day. That was a productive day. I feel good about myself, and I'm planting seeds for my future self because I ate that frog. I did it first thing in the morning, and I'm addressing the not urgent but very important tasks in my life. And that's where we want to spend a majority of our time. Like reading a book, it's not urgent, but man, is it important. Man, has reading changed my life. Reading books, it's just incredible how there's no immediate reward. Yes, sometimes I'll get insights, and I find it very relaxing. It helps me to focus, getting off screens and reading a book. But the amount of benefit you get for your future self is huge, and that's what we want to target. And getting off of our phones, getting off of our iPads and screens, and focusing on frog tasks, well, unless the frog task involves being on a screen, but it just changes the trajectory of your life and how you feel about yourself. And the most important point in the real thesis of the video is it reduces anxiety and stress, and that's something that we all struggle with. So like Popeye says, eat your spinach, or like Popeye does, eat your spinach, eat your frog tasks, do them as soon as possible, break them down, and you start feeling a deeper sense of inner calm. Procrastination is a invitation to be stressed, anxious, and overwhelmed. If you'd like support, send me an email. It's in the description. Like I said, the consultation's free, and the sessions are ridiculously affordable after that. And please, if you like these videos, I encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd like to hear how you tackle your frog tasks. And thanks for watching. Oh, there's also a PayPal link if you'd like to support the channel in the description. And thanks for tuning in. Until next time, bye-bye.